Hello third graders, this is Mrs. Copeland and I'm a math teacher in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. I'm going to be helping you with third grade memory joggers. Let's take a look at week 10, day 2, problem A. Marilyn found the perimeter of a rectangle she drew. She said the perimeter of the rectangle is 16 centimeters. What could be the dimensions of Marilyn's rectangle? List all possible choices. Rebecca found the area of a rectangle she drew. She said the area of the rectangle is 16 square centimeters. What could be the dimensions of Rebecca's rectangle? List all possible choices. We have a few things we need to remember. Perimeter is the length around the edge of a shape. We can find the perimeter of a shape by adding the side lengths. If we know the perimeter and a side length is missing, we can find the length of the missing side by subtracting the known side lengths from the perimeter. Area is the number of square units it takes to cover a shape. The squares form an array when finding the area of a rectangle. The length tells us how many squares long the shape is. The width tells us how many squares wide the shape is. We can multiply the length by the width to see how many squares it will take to cover the area of the rectangle. So we know that Marilyn found the perimeter of a rectangle she drew. She said the perimeter is 16 centimeters, which would mean if she started at one point and went down all four sides, that would equal 16. Now what we know about a rectangle is the opposite sides are the same length. So this side is congruent or the same length as that side, and this side is congruent or the same length as this side. We know that if we went halfway around this rectangle, we would have to be halfway to 16. So if I started here and went here, I would have to be halfway to 16, and I know half of 16 is 8 because 8 plus 8 is 16. So from here to here has to be 8 because here to here will be 8. So when I'm thinking of the dimensions, I'm going to have to think of something that has a sum of 8. I like to start with whatever could be the smallest whole number. So the smallest whole number would be 1 because if it was 0, it wouldn't be a rectangle anymore. It would just be a line. So if one of the sides was 1, the longer side would have to be 7 to make 8. So it could be a 1 by 7. So that would be the width that would be 1 and the length would be 7. Sometimes we use this multiplication symbol to represent the dimensions. It's a 1 by 7. So what if it was the next biggest size? Then it would be 2, and I still have to get to 8. So if it was 2, I would have to go 6 more to get to 8. So it could be a 2 by 6 rectangle. Let's go one more. What if it was 3? So if one dimension was 3, I would have to go 5 more to get to 8. So then it would be a 3 by 5. Go to the next one. What if the first dimension was 4? Then it would be a 4 by 4 because 4 plus 4 is 8. 4, 4, 8. And we know if both of the sides of the rectangle were 4, it's actually a square. It's a special kind of rectangle. So now that both sides are 4, even if I kept going here, it would be 5 and 3. And we already have a rectangle that's that size. So once I get to where the length is about the same size as the width, or as close as possible, then I can stop because I know I have all of the answer choices. So these are all the possible choices for Marilyn's rectangle. Rebecca found the area of a rectangle she drew. She said the area of the rectangle was 16 square centimeters. This one was 16. The perimeter was 16, but I wonder how this will be different if the area is 16. What could be the possible dimensions of Rebecca's rectangle? So if I drew a rectangle, and this time it has to have 16 square units that cover it. Again, what if we start with the smallest possible side? What if one side was 1, the other side would have to be 16 because area is equal to length times width as we saw below. So 1 times 16 would be 16. What if the side was 2? 2 times 8 would be 16. So that would be a rectangle that was 2 by 8. What if the next side was 3? 3 times what is 16? oh, there's nothing that I would multiply 3 by to get 16, so I can't have a rectangle with the area of 16 if one dimension is 3. So let's go to the next one. What if a side was 4? 4 times what is 16? 4 times 4 is 16. And so again, because the length and width match each other, or if they're 1 apart, or if you get as close as possible and the next number that you could use would be the other number you're multiplying by, you can know that you have all of the choices. So all of the possible choices for Rebecca are 1 by 16, 2 by 18, 4 by 4. Notice the answer choices when we find a perimeter of 16 are not like the answer choices if we find an area of 16. Thank you, and if you have additional questions about this problem, please ask your classroom teacher.